Having your favorite Thor movie being Ragnarok isn't surprising, but wait until you find out what actor Idris Elba thought of the first two movies in the franchise. Today we're going to be talking about Heimdall, Thor's best friend and keeper of the infamous Bifrost Bridge. He's far more than your average citizen of Asgard, and today we'll be talking about some of his most impressive powers and a serious Infinity War plot hole. When it comes to superheroes, it's really hard to dislike Thor. With the exception of Infinity War, he's normally cheerfully optimistic, enthusiastic, and loves a good battle. But there's no denying that as far as the MCU movies go, the first two movies in the Thor franchise were far from the best. And if you feel that way too, you're in pretty good company, considering this is the opinion of actor Idris Elba. He plays the role of Heimdall, but it's far from his dream job. In fact, the actor had stated that he would love to play a true superhero and have a bigger role in the MCU. There were some who hoped that Heimdall would have a larger part in the MCU, but Thanos snuffed that out pretty quickly during Infinity War. In fact, Elba claims he didn't really enjoy working on either Thor or Thor the Dark World. It wasn't until Thor Ragnarok that he finally started to have some fun on set, and he attributes this attitude shift to director Taika Waititi. In addition to directing the movie, Waititi is also responsible for portraying everyone's favorite pile of rocks, Korg. Elba claims that working on the first two Thor movies felt like, well, working, while Waititi make Ragnarok a genuinely fun experience for the entire cast. Elba also noted that while Heimdall is an important character, he isn't overly featured in any of the movies and tends to stay in the background. So let's shed some light on the ultra-powerful Heimdall. It's no secret that the average Asgardian citizen would far overpower the average human, but even by Asgardian standards, Heimdall is incredibly powerful. In addition, he also has an enchanted sword made out of the same powerful Uru metal as Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. In the MCU, we've seen him mainly use his sword, Hofund, for operating the Bifrost Bridge, but it's also capable of slicing through pretty much anything. Hofund was enchanted by none other than Odin himself, and Heimdall is able to channel cosmic forces through it, similar to how Thor channels lightning through his weapons. As we learned during Infinity War, not just anyone can wield a weapon made out of Uru metal. It takes an intense amount of physical and mental strength in order to possess such a weapon. Being able to slice pretty much anything in half is certainly impressive, but Hofund is far from Heimdall's only impressive attribute. Guarding the Bifrost Bridge is a complicated process, and Heimdall has abilities which make him exceptionally well suited for the task. He can pretty much hear and see everything that happens, not only in Asgard, but in the entirety of the Nine Realms. During Thor Ragnarok, he was able to hear Thor calling out to him all the way from Sakaar, and was even able to let Thor borrow his incredible powers for just a moment. Not only can he see what's going on in the present, but he can look all across space and time. He can see beings coming from hundreds of miles away, making him a difficult guy to sneak up on. But still, Heimdall and his powers aren't completely infallible. His amazing powers of perception are capable of being tripped up by powerful magic, or if his eyes sustain some type of damage, he's also able to block out a substantial portion of the sensory input he receives, which makes sense because it would otherwise be way too much for anyone to handle. In fact, it's this ability which makes an important event in Avengers Infinity War seems like a major plot hole. The Infinity Stones have played no small part in the events which occur in the MCU. Some people even theorize that they may have been pulling so many strings that what is going on now is all part of the machinations of these intensely powerful and sentient magical objects. We won't get into that right now, but we're going to talk a little bit about Asgard's history with the Infinity Stones. We know that for a long period of time, Odin was in possession of the Space Stone, and it was considered the jewel of his treasure room. As you can imagine, Odin has surely amassed no shortage of impressive magical objects over his time as ruler of Asgard. We also saw the Ether play an important part in Thor the Dark World. There have been some considerable speculations on whether or not Odin once possessed all of the Infinity Stones, or if he was trying to accumulate them all at one point in time. But regardless, we know for certain that he has had at least two of them in his possession, meaning that if you're looking for Infinity Stones, Asgard seems like a sensible place to start checking. While we gradually become aware of the Infinity Stones and the various names they were known by, fans noticed that the Soul Stone had not appeared anywhere prior to the events of Infinity War. Some fans even theorized that perhaps Heimdall himself was in possession of it, and it was providing him some of his incredible perceptive powers. Of course, we now know that the Soul Stone was really sitting atop Vormir, using the Red Skull as its manservant all of this time. We know that Heimdall has the ability to turn off his own powers, but following the events of Thor Ragnarok, one would think that he would be on high alert, considering he and the rest of the Asgardians barely escape with their own lives. This ultra-powerful being could hear Thor calling him all the way from Sakaar, but he couldn't see a giant spaceship piloted by a murderous titan. Heimdall and everyone he knows and loves is on a spaceship floating through space, and the ultimate guardian of Asgard decides that they don't need to be keeping a lookout? Even if Heimdall somehow wasn't aware of Thanos specifically, which also seems like a huge oversight, how could he not be on the lookout for malevolent beings given the circumstances of his trip through space? While it's Heimdall we're focusing on right now, what about Loki? He's usually several steps ahead of everyone, has worked with Thanos before, and knows he's in possession of the Space Stone. During the Avengers, Loki even specifically pointed out that it's exponentially difficult for anyone to take him by surprise, which is why he wasn't stunned by Agent Coulson attacking him. So Loki knows about Thanos, knows he has what Thanos wants, and not only did he not keep a lookout, but he didn't give Heimdall a heads up that he might want to stay on guard. Loki is a lot of things, but he has always been interested in self-preservation, and by the end of Ragnarok, Thanos is the largest threat to him. The fact that Heimdall and Loki and all of the people in the MCU were taken by surprise by Thanos makes absolutely no sense. We get that Thanos is a powerful guy, but at this point, he didn't have all the Infinity Stones, and we had seen no precedent that he would be able to bamboozle the magic powers of someone like Heimdall. When Heimdall does succumb to Thanos, his last heroic act is to save the Hulk. Now, we're not saying we aren't happy that he survived, but why him? Why not Loki? We understand that Loki probably isn't Heimdall's favorite person, given his history with trying to usurp the throne of Asgard and everything. But he's Thor's brother after all. And he did just put his own life at risk to defeat Hela and save the Asgardians at the end of Ragnarok. Perhaps most importantly, Loki had the Space Stone. Sending Loki to safety, well, relative safety, would have meant keeping the stone out of Thanos' hands for at least a little bit longer. Heck, why not rescue Thor, the rightful ruler of Asgard, and someone who's supposed to be Heimdall's best friend? There's maybe the argument that he expected Thor to be able to fight off Thanos, but one would think that at this point, protecting Thor would have been his first priority. Now, before you pick up your pitchforks or smash your copy of Infinity War, let's think this through. At first, this seems like a major oversight. Having Heimdall save pretty much the one person on the ship he has the absolute least amount of incentive to save. However, let's consider the source of Heimdall's powers and the magic of Asgard in general. During Doctor Strange, we learn that the Ancient One had only been able to perform specific magical feats by harnessing power from the insidious dark dimension, and we know that if the ultra-powerful Odin uses his powers too much, he gets tired and needs to take a power nap, known as Odin sleep. I get cranky sometimes too, Odin, don't worry about it. Using magic to solve your problems can come in handy, but it seems as though there's usually some sort of price to pay, and Heimdall's magic is no exception. When we saw Heimdall send the Hulk to Earth during Infinity War, he said, "All fathers, let the dark magic flow through me one last time." This isn't the first time we've heard the phrase dark magic in connection with Heimdall's abilities either. During the Avengers, Loki remarked that the Bifrost Bridge could be manipulated via the use of dark magic. In the Thor the Dark World comics, we also saw Odin talk about the cost of utilizing this specific type of dark magic. In the comics, Thor is eager to head back to Earth, and Odin offers to send him there using this dark magic, but adds that both he and Thor will have to pay a price. By using the magic, Odin's health will take a hit, a move which may have ultimately contributed to his passing during Thor Ragnarok. And Thor would have to pay a price as well, being in excruciating pain as he passes through the Bifrost in this manner. It's so bad that Thor actually passes out on the journey, and none other than Heimdall has to check in and make sure he's still alive. If this is the same method Heimdall used during Infinity War, it could be that he believed the Hulk would be the only one who would survive such a trip. Thanos and Loki weren't at their best at the moment, and we know how hard it is to take down the Hulk. Not only could this explain why he chose the Hulk, but it could even explain the fact that the Hulk reverted to Bruce Banner once he arrived at Earth. In Ragnarok, Banner had warned that once he transformed into Hulk, it could be quite some time until he turned back. But during Infinity War, Hulk refused to come out and help. Could it be that the dark magic summoned by Heimdall was so traumatizing that even the Hulk wanted to hide after being subjugated to it? Although it may seem counterintuitive, it may be telling that Heimdall chose the Hulk to send to relative safety. After all, Banner eventually warns Doctor Strange about Thanos coming, and enables Strange to come up with his plan to defeat Thanos, which many think we'll see play out in Endgame. We know that Doctor Strange took a peek at over 14 million possible futures, so it's not unthinkable that someone like Heimdall may have taken a quick glance around the universe when he was trying to decide who to save. Like Strange handing over the Time Stone to save Tony Stark, there's a possibility that it was all part of a larger plan to defeat Thanos. We all like to theorize how Stark will prove integral to the victory during Endgame, but don't sleep on Banner. It seems that Heimdall believed he has an important role to play, and we may not have seen it yet. During the Avengers, dark magic was the excuse behind how Thor ended up on Earth, despite the destruction of the Bifrost Bridge, and now we see it being used again during Infinity War. Heimdall being able to conjure this magic proves that the saying, "the power of Asgard is in its people," is quite literally true, and considering the fact that Heimdall can see so much, it makes us think that him saving Hulk was more than simply a plot hole. But we still want to know just how he and Loki managed to miss the massive, terrifying spaceship headed right towards them. It's right there, guys. Come on. Seriously, get it together. If you end up coming back after Endgame, that is. What do you think about Heimdall and his use of dark magic? Do you think he sent Banner back for a specific purpose? Or would sending Thor and Loki back have been a better decision? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more MCU content. Thanks for watching.